Hey everyone, welcome to the English Fluency Podcast from Speak English Class. I'm Matt.
And I'm Molly.
And today we are talking about finding your comfort zone when it is suddenly your turn to speak in front of other people.
Right. And our promise to you is that by the end of our chat today, you are going to understand why your words sometimes hide when you need them the most and how to gently invite them back without feeling like you have to force it.
Yeah, because, well, we know how incredibly frustrating it is. You have these beautiful, complex thoughts in your head, but the second the spotlight is on you, it feels like you just can't share them. We've both been where you are. Learning how to express yourself in a second language is a real journey. But we've also seen what happens when you learn to feel safe in your own words. It's incredible.
It really is the best feeling. So before we get too far into it, grab your coffee, make sure you hit subscribe, and maybe drop a comment below telling us where you are listening from today. We love seeing all the different countries.
We really do. So, Molly, I was thinking about this the other day while I was out for my morning walk. Getting some fresh air always clears my head. But I was thinking about that moment. You know, you were sitting in a meeting, or maybe you're just on a casual video call with some colleagues. And the room goes quiet, and someone kindly says, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And it's like, well, in your head, your English is usually so relaxed, but in that exact second, it feels like all your favorite vocabulary words just take a little walk outside.
Oh, yeah. They just sort of become shy and disappear. And your hands might get a little warm and your mouth just sort of forgets how to put a sentence together.
Right. And so many learners come to us and say, "Matt, in my living room, my English is wonderful, but in front of people, I sound like a completely different person."
And then you go home and you just run it over and over in your mind, right? Thinking, why did my voice shake? I know this topic so well. If you are listening right now and you have ever felt that way, please, please know that you are so normal. You are not broken and you are not bad at English.
Yeah, not at all. You are just a human being experiencing pressure. Because honestly, the problem in that moment is almost never your vocabulary. It's just about how you feel inside your own body when you open your mouth.
For sure. And that brings up a really wonderful phrase we use in English. We talk a lot about how you come across to other people.
Come across. Yeah, let's look at that for a second.
So how you come across is basically the energy or the feeling that people catch from you when you speak. Like, do you come across as hesitant and unsure, or do you come across as grounded, calm, and comfortable?
And I think the secret here, the really relieving part, is that you do not need to be the loudest, most extroverted person in the room to come across as a capable speaker.
Oh, thank goodness, because I would be terrible at that.
Right? Same here. It's not about transforming your entire personality in 7 days. It's really just about building a few tiny, gentle habits in your breathing and your body.
Just small adjustments so you stop feeling like you are disappearing inside your own sentences. And just a quick note for everyone listening, we are going to use some really natural, rich language today. So this is about a B2 level episode.
Yeah, but wait. Actually, if you consider yourself a B1 learner, please don't run away. You are so welcome here. Some parts might feel a little challenging, and that is totally okay. Just let the words wash over you, breathe, and remember, you can always listen to this episode as many times as you need to.
You are completely safe here. We'll walk through it all together, really slowly. And actually, before we get into Matt's story about this, we have a little reflection challenge for you in the comments.
Oh, I love this idea.
Yeah, we want you to go down to the comments and finish this sentence. When I have to speak in front of other people, I feel, and just be honest. You can say, I feel shy, or I feel excited, or I feel a little overwhelmed, whatever's true for you.
Yeah, it's a totally judgment-free zone. And just writing that sentence is a great way to practice your English and sort of acknowledge your own journey. And then, near the end of our chat today, we're going to do a slow word tour where we take some of the beautiful vocabulary from today and practice it together.
So make sure to stay with us for that. But for now, Matt, let's talk about your university days. Because on paper, you were doing great, right?
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing to look back on now, but back in university, I was actually at the top of my Spanish classes. I could write these really long, beautiful essays, and I would always get high marks on the grammar tests.
The perfect student on paper.
Right? On paper, I looked like I had it all completely figured out. I felt so ready. But then, I moved to Madrid for my first real job, and wow, the reality check was just massive.
Oh, I can only imagine. What actually happened in that first week?
Well, I remember sitting in this big conference room. There were about 10 people, lots of serious faces, very professional. And my manager just turns to me and says, in Spanish, of course, "Matt, what's your take on this?" And Molly, in that one single second, all my beautiful university Spanish just vanished. It just completely evaporated.
Oh no, your brain just went on strike.
It really did. My heart was beating so loud I thought the person next to me could hear it. And when I finally opened my mouth, I just used all these tiny, weak little phrases like, maybe, I'm not sure, but kinda. I was basically apologizing for speaking. I didn't even trust my own sentence.
And that hurts so much, especially when you know you have the vocabulary locked inside of you. You go home and you just feel so defeated.
Yeah, it was rough. But here is the really interesting part, and this is what I really want our English learners to hear today. There was another guy in that same meeting who spoke right after me, and honestly, his Spanish wasn't any more advanced than mine. In fact, I noticed he made a few basic grammar mistakes, but when he spoke, the entire room just leaned in and listened to him.
I love people like that. Same room, same topic, but a completely different energy.
Yes, and it made me realize it wasn't just the vocabulary he was using, it was how steady he was. He just sounded so credible.
Credible. That is such a wonderful word for our learners today. When you're credible, you just feel believable to other people. People feel like they can trust you. You listen to them and think, okay, I am taking this person seriously, even if their sentence structure is really simple.
Yeah, for sure, because they don't rush. They don't try to fill the quiet spaces with nervous little laughs. They just say one clear thing, take a breath, and people naturally pay attention.
Because they aren't speaking just to get approval. And I think that is a huge trap we all fall into when we are learning a language. We talk to make people like us instead of talking to just be clear.
Oh, that is such a good point. You start worrying, I don't want to sound rude, or I don't want them to think my English is bad. So you strip all the strength out of your sentence. You start with, this might be a silly idea, but...
Yeah, it's like you're trying to protect yourself before anyone even has a chance to disagree with you. And the more you do that, the less assertive you become.
Right. And assertive is our next big word here. I think sometimes people hear the word assertive and they think it means being bossy or unkind, but it doesn't mean that at all. Being assertive just means you share your thoughts clearly and calmly. You respect everyone else at the table, but you also respect yourself enough to just say what you mean.
I really love that. Respecting your own voice. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard to do when you feel intimidated. Like if the room feels really serious or someone else has this beautiful, fluent English, it's just so easy to let yourself feel small.
Oh yeah. You walk into the room feeling like your normal, capable self, and then you see the serious faces and suddenly your fun, relaxed personality just hides behind a plant in the corner.
Yes, your true self goes on vacation and your scared robot self takes over the meeting.
And when that happens, your goal isn't to share a great idea anymore. Your only goal becomes, please don't judge me. And that is usually when everything starts to get really messy in our minds before the words even come out.
Right, which is why we need to talk about what is actually happening in your brain in that exact moment. Right, which is why we need to talk about what is actually happening in your brain in that exact moment. Because a lot of times, people blame their English vocabulary, but the reality is your thoughts just aren't organized yet.
Yeah. You can almost hear it when someone is talking, right? You can hear them searching for the idea while their mouth is already moving.
Yes. I always pictured the brain like a drawer in your kitchen. We all have that one messy drawer, right? The one with the old batteries and like 4 different phone chargers from 10 years ago.
Oh yeah, the junk drawer, just full of tangled up cables.
Exactly that. And when you are put on the spot in English and you just start talking without taking a breath first, it's like closing your eyes, reaching into that drawer, and just yanking on one cable. The whole knotted mess just comes flying out all at once. And that is what happens when you talk without a clear thought. The idea itself is just a knot.
That is such a perfect visual, Molly, because it's not a lack of words, it's just a tangled idea, which is why we always encourage our learners to be really deliberate.
Right. Deliberate, meaning you do something on purpose. You aren't just hoping the sentence magically fixes itself.
Yeah, and a tiny, tiny habit you can try, and I still use this myself when I'm speaking Spanish in a serious setting, is just giving yourself a 1-second pause. Just a simple, quiet second before you open your mouth to ask yourself, okay, Matt, what is my actual point here in one simple sentence?
And taking that pause is not a weakness. It really isn't. I know silence can feel scary, but that pause is just you organizing the drawer before you pull the cable. Plus, it gives you a second to just kind of read the room.
Read the room. That is such a valuable social skill to have in your pocket.
It really is. It just means you notice the energy and the mood of the people around you. Like, are they stressed out? Are they looking at their watches? Are they relaxed and ready for a joke? When you take a breath and notice that, your English doesn't have to work as hard because you can adjust your sentence to fit what the room actually needs.
For sure. Though, wait, actually, I should add a little reality check here, because reading the room gets a lot harder when your own emotions are running really high.
You know, it is so easy to sound incredibly wise and fluent when you're just making your morning coffee in your kitchen. The real test is when someone is pressuring you.
Oh, the pressure test. When you feel judged, or maybe a client raises their voice a little bit, your good habits can just melt away. Your heart rate goes up, you start speaking way too fast, and your voice gets kind of high and tight.
Yeah, and that is where learning to stay composed comes in. And being composed doesn't mean you don't feel the stress. You're human. You're going to feel it. It just means you don't let the stress drive your mouth.
I love that. I always think about it like your emotions are allowed to be in the car with you. They can sit in the back seat and complain as much as they want, but they are absolutely not allowed to touch the steering wheel.
Keep your hands off the wheel. But it's so true. I remember, gosh, a few years ago sending this really angry email, and the literal second I hit send, I just felt my stomach drop because I knew, oh no, my emotional brain was completely driving the car just now.
We have all done that. You just want to reach into the computer and pull the message back out.
Right. So now, when I feel that heat in my chest, I force myself to just take one slow, deep breath before I reply. It gives you space to be intentional. And when you are intentional, you can avoid that other massive trap we fall into, which is saying way too much.
The over-explaining trap.
Yeah, because when we feel nervous about our English, a lot of us just start talking and talking. We say the important thing and then we cover it up with 10 more sentences because the silence just feels too heavy.
I am so guilty of this. If I feel insecure, I just keep adding details because I secretly think my first sentence wasn't good enough. But it actually hurts the message, which is why we really want to practice being concise.
Concise, meaning your message is clear and short, but totally complete. You don't need to give people a whole novel when a short paragraph is enough.
Right, because when you're not concise, you end up doing what we call in English beating around the bush. You just talk in circles around the real point. It's like wrapping a tiny, beautiful gift in 15 different boxes. By the time the person finally gets to the actual gift, they're just tired and confused.
Yeah, so being concise is really an act of kindness. You're respecting the listener's time and you're saving your own energy. But you know, Molly, even if your words are perfectly concise and your thoughts are organized, people are still watching something else very closely.
Oh, yes. Before you even say a word, your body is already talking for you. Yeah, people really notice how you sit, where your eyes go. They notice if you look open and relaxed, or if you look like you're secretly trying to find the nearest exit door. If your words are saying, I have this great idea, but your shoulders are scrunched all the way up near your ears saying, please do not look at me, the room is always going to believe your shoulders.
Your shoulders are just so incredibly honest, aren't they?
They really are. And I think a huge misconception here is that having confident body language means you have to make these big, sweeping, dramatic movements, acting like you own the room. But research tells us that real confidence is usually just about being still, just being comfortably present.
Uh-huh. Not frozen stiff like a statue, obviously, but also not constantly shifting in your chair every 2 seconds or clicking your pen or messing with your clothes. It's really just about being able to hold your ground when it's your turn to speak.
Hold your ground. Man, that is a beautiful phrase for our learners to keep in mind.
It is, right? If you hold your ground, it just means you don't shrink or disappear the second someone looks serious or disagrees with you. You just stay exactly where you are, calm but firm. I always like to imagine a really old, strong tree with deep roots. The wind might blow the leaves around a bit, and the wind is like the stress of the meeting or the difficult questions. But the tree itself doesn't just pack up and move, it stays planted.
Ah, I love that image so much because when I was younger and I would get nervous speaking Spanish in professional settings, I was basically the complete opposite of that tree. I would adjust my collar, shift my weight, touch my face. It just signaled to everyone around the table that I was deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, my version of that was constantly touching my hair, just tucking it behind my ear over and over again whenever I felt unsure of my German. And it's not about looking like a flawless movie star. It's really just about trying to feel at home inside your own body while you are talking. Because when your body stops fighting your message, your voice can actually start to support it.
Right. And speaking of the voice, so many learners assume that a strong voice just means you have to be loud.
But if you just crank up the volume, you usually end up sounding stressed or even a little angry, not confident. What really matters is how your voice carries your thought from the very first word all the way to the period at the end of the sentence.
Yes, carrying the sentence. Because what happens so often is that we start out with really good energy, and then right at the end of the thought, our voice just sort of drops and gets really quiet and apologizing.
Yeah, like, I think we should try this new marketing plan. But I don't know, whatever you guys think.
Right, the never mind voice. And the sad part is, people remember the never mind feeling way more than they remember your actual brilliant idea. But if you just take a breath and slow your pace down a little bit, your voice naturally becomes so much more stable.
For sure, slower does not mean boring. Taking your time sounds thoughtful. It sounds powerful.
It does. And when you finally get all of these pieces together, your thoughts, your breathing, your body, your voice, when they all start to support the same message, you reach this really beautiful state that we call alignment.
Alignment, yes. Because I think so many people get confused and think confidence is just a magic trick, or they feel like they have to put on a mask and act like a totally different person, which is just exhausting.
Yeah, it really is. But true confidence isn't a performance, it's just alignment. It means your mind, your words, and your body are all playing on the same team instead of fighting each other. You stop running away from your own voice, and you start standing beside it.
I completely agree with that. And when you do that, you naturally come across as credible and assertive, even if you mess up a grammar rule. People trust you more when you sound like you trust yourself.
Yeah. So for anyone listening right now who is thinking, I'm just not a confident speaker, Please be so kind to yourself. You don't have to fix everything in one afternoon. Maybe the better question to ask is just, which small part of my communication is out of alignment today? Is it my breathing, my shoulders?
Right. Just pick one tiny thing to practice this week, because every single time you hold your ground just a little bit more, you are building real, lasting confidence sentence by sentence.
You really are, and that is the kind of confidence that stays with you long after the video call is over.
Okay, so let's slow things down even more now. We use some really powerful words and phrases in today's chat, and we want to help you really remember them and feel comfortable using them. We used some really powerful words and phrases in today's chat, and we want to help you really remember them and feel comfortable actually using them in your real life. So, we're going to do our little word tour.
Yeah, this is the part of the show where we take a few of the most useful words we just talked about, slow them way down, and give you some everyday examples. You can just sit back and listen, or if you're in a place where you can talk out loud, you can shadow us and repeat the words.
Right, so take a nice breath, let your shoulders drop down away from your ears, and let's start with a really calm, powerful word. Composed.
Composed. This just means you are calm and in control of yourself, especially when things around you get stressful. You might still feel the stress inside, but you don't let it drive your voice. Even when the client was upset, she stayed composed and answered clearly. Try saying it with me. Composed.
Composed. I love the feeling of that word. Okay, our next word is for showing a really clear, kind strength. Assertive.
Assertive, meaning you just say what you need in a clear and respectful way without hiding or being aggressive. Like, being assertive helped him set healthy boundaries at work. Go ahead and try it. Assertive.
Assertive. Oh, and here's a word about trust. Credible.
Credible. Just means believable. People feel like they can rely on what you are saying. Like, her presentation was simple, but it was very credible because she used real-world examples. Let's hear you say it. Credible.
Credible. Beautiful. Now a word for doing something carefully and on purpose. Deliberate.
Deliberate. You aren't just talking by accident, you are choosing your moments. Like, she took a deliberate pause before answering the hard question. Try it out. Deliberate.
Deliberate. And then we have a really great word for keeping things short and clear. Concise.
Concise, meaning you say everything that is necessary, but you kindly cut out all the extra noise. Like, his email was concise, but it still included all the important details. Let's say it. Concise.
Concise. Okay, now a feeling word that I think we all know a little too well. Intimidated.
Intimidated. This is when you feel nervous or maybe a bit small because of a situation or another person. Like, at first he was intimidated by the native speakers, but over time he relaxed. Try saying it. Intimidated.
Intimidated. Yeah, that is a tough feeling. Next is a really useful phrase about the image you project to the world. Come across as.
Come across as. This is the impression you give to the room, how you seem from the outside looking in. Like, he comes across as confident even when he feels a bit unsure inside. Let's practice that whole phrase. Come across as.
Come across as. And here is that social superpower phrase we talked about earlier. Read the room.
Read the room, meaning you naturally notice the mood and the energy of the people around you before you speak. Like, a good leader reads the room and knows when it's time to be serious. Try it. Read the room.
Read the room. Oh, and this one is for that quiet physical strength. Hold your ground.
Hold your ground. You stay firm and you don't back down when there's pressure. Like that tree with the deep roots. Even when the room got tense, she calmly held her ground. Try saying it. Hold your ground.
Hold your ground. Okay, we have two left. This next one is for when everything works together as a team. Alignment.
Alignment, meaning your thoughts, your body, and your voice are all supporting the exact same message. Like, real confidence comes from the alignment between what you think and how you speak. Let's hear it. Alignment.
Alignment. And our final phrase for today, for when people talk in circles, beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush, meaning you avoid the real topic instead of just saying it directly. Like, when he gets nervous, he tends to beat around the bush instead of asking his actual question. Let's try it one last time. Beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush. That is such a funny-sounding idiom when you really think about it, but it is so incredibly common in English.
It really is. And that wraps up our word tour for today. If you want to really anchor these words in your memory, try to use just one or two of them today, even if it's just in a super simple sentence while you're walking the dog or making lunch.
Yeah, or you can practice with us right now in the comments. Write one short sentence using a word like assertive or credible, or maybe the phrase hold your ground. We read all of them, and it is just a really safe, supportive way to train your English.
For sure. And hey, if this chat helped you feel even just a little bit clearer or calmer about speaking in front of people, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and maybe share this with a friend who might also get a little nervous when they speak.
And remember, you can always come back to this episode. Let it be a quiet, safe practice space for your future confident self. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today and for trusting us with your English journey. I'm Molly.
And I'm Matt. Always be kind to yourselves, and we will see you in the next episode of the English Fluency Podcast.
Bye, everyone.